It's bombing you right now.
Okay, perfect. How's it guys? Welcome back to the car scene and welcome to the Porsche 911 Carrera T. It is important to note that this is not the new 911. In fact, it is actually seen as the last hurrah to the 991 generation of the 911. Now, the most asked question that I got for the Carrera T was, what actually is it? And I think that this is actually quite an appropriate starting point for us. The Carrera T, T standing for touring, is actually a homage to the late 911 Carrera T produced in the 1960s to the 1970s. You will find trinkets such as the grey mirrors, the cloth seats, the fabric door handles. There is a lot that makes the Carrera T special. It is powered by the same flat six twin turbo engine in the base Carrera of the 991 generation, producing 272 kilowatts, rocketing it from 0 to 100 in just 4.2 seconds with the PDK transmission. The Porsche Carrera 911T is not your average Carrera. In fact, it is adorned with options that are reserved for higher spec Carreras. You will find a mechanical locking differential, you'll find Porsche torque vectoring, Porsche active suspension management, which in fact drops the ride height of the Porsche 911 Carrera T by 0.4 inches. It even has a sports exhaust system that sounds absolutely incredible. What makes it sound even better is the fact that the 911 Carrera T is essentially a stripped down version of the Carrera. And that brings me on to one of my favorite things about the Carrera T. The fact that it is stripped down, the fact that it is lightweight, it is purposeful, less sound deadening, a lightweight rear glass, fabric door handles, cloth seats. The Carrera T is all about purpose. In fact, you can even delete the infotainment, aircon and rear bench for free, or you can add them back for free if you so wish. Jumping into the cockpit of the 911 Carrera T, and there's a few things that I've noticed other than the huge smile on my face whenever I do jump in it. The first being that this doesn't feel like a dated Porsche. In fact, I would go so far as to say that it feels extremely modern. If I didn't know any better and you told me that this was the new 911, I would believe you. It has Apple CarPlay, it has Android Auto. Unlike the 992, you don't get 4 digital screens. You get one digital screen, which can give you your navigation, your tire pressures, your trip logs, your music currently playing. It is, in my opinion at least, bang up to date. Nothing feels old in here. I do enjoy the analog clocks for your temperature gauges, your tachometer, your speedometer. It is always really, really cool to have that. Aside from the Carrera T feeling incredibly modern inside, you will find a lot of special things. As mentioned previously, the fabric door handle is one of my favorite things about the Carrera T. It really makes it feel like a car with purpose. Then there's the 911 build quality. I cannot fault it. This car hasn't rattled once. I've gone on open roads, I've wrung its neck around corners, not a single rattle, not a single creak. I cannot fault the build quality and the ergonomics of a 911, not one bit. We even managed to fit 2 people back there reasonably comfortably. Now, when I drove the 992 Carrera S down in Cape Town, it really felt like its power was the centerpiece. I was absolutely infatuated, addicted when it came to unleashing the full 331 kilowatts of that car. Jumping into the Carrera T, it's a little bit more of a different ball game. When you're met with 272 kilowatts, and a lot of driving engagement. Whilst the Carrera T is not necessarily visceral and raw, it is engaging yet refined. I say that because with the deletion of the sound deadening, you tend to hear a lot more of the road, a lot more of the engine, such as intake sounds, exhaust notes, tire rumble. You are so much more attached to the road and what is going on around you in the Carrera T. And that brings me on to what it is like to drive. 0 to 100 in 4.5 seconds. The Carrera T never feels wild. It never feels like it is going to bite your head off or like it is going to hurt you. With that being said, the rear can get a little bit playful. But again, it never feels out of control, wayward or unhinged. Porsche's traction control systems are extremely clever. I didn't dare turn it off. In Sports Plus mode, it does dial down the nannies a little bit more, and around corners you can feel the rear end slide out quite a lot. It's a truly engaging car to drive. Out on the open road, it is subtle, serene, and it kind of slips by unnoticed. In fact, I must say, where it doesn't slip by unnoticed is with other Porsche drivers, and driving a 911 for a week has really shown me that there is an amazing culture attached to driving a 911. So guys, concluding on the 911 Carrera T, and as usual, I will leave a link down below to a more in-depth written review if you would like to know more about the 911 Carrera T. But if I could sum this car up in a nutshell, and it's quite difficult because they say you should never drive your dream car, but I've just driven my dream car for a week straight, and I was really scared. Don't get me wrong, I was scared because the car had a lot to live up to. I had really high expectations, and those expectations were met and exceeded. The first thing I noticed was that it wasn't as fast as the 911 Carrera S, and at first this seemed to be like quite a bummer to me. But once it got under my skin, I quickly realized that it was just right. 272 kilowatts doesn't get away from you as easily as 331 kilowatts could get away from you. But having said that, the 911 Carrera T is extremely engaging and extremely fun to drive. It is essentially a back to basics 911, if you will, but it remains comfortable and refined in the city and on the open road. Whilst you can get a 911 Carrera T in the 7-speed manual transmission, this one is optioned with the PDK transmission. Whilst I can't comment on the manual, I can comment on the PDK. As usual, I'm happy to report that the PDK transmission is still one of the best gearboxes I have ever interacted with. Lightning quick, and in Sports Plus mode, physically bangs you in your back when you upshift. And in Comfort mode, it just goes about its business unnoticed, slips through each cog, just does what it needs to do. The 911 really does drive like a well-polished hatchback. It's comfortable and it is compliant, but once you get it onto the right road, my word, smiles per mile is a huge factor here. The Carrera T is not about lap times, it's not about the bleeding edge performance, it is about having fun behind the wheel, and I feel that it is an absolutely incredible way to send off the 991 generation of Porsche 911. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope that you enjoyed the video on the 911 Carrera T. I actually ended up taking a friend of mine's father for a drive in the 911 Carrera T, and he had a lot of interesting insights to share with me. I hope that you enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment for plenty of more videos to come. I'm joined today by Francois. Those of you that don't know, Francois is actually blind. How much vision do you have currently?
Well, roughly on paper, in layman's terms, around 2%, so I can differentiate between light and dark, and I'm able to observe under the right light conditions, various colors as well, but that's basically it.
Do you want to give a little bit of a backstory as to who you are and how you got into cars?
Well, Sam, I actually think I was born with exhilarating right now. The sound of the engine, the vibration, the whole vibe of the car, the way that I'm hugged by its wonderful seats. I had a mind shoot back, if I can put it like that. Way back, I was 7 years and 65 days old when it was announced on the 14th of June 1970 that Porsche had its first overall Le Mans victory. It was a 917, I think, KA.